Astros camp today. How's it going there, AJ? Looks like they gave you a nice setup to be able to watch the dudes going through. Yeah, back up a little bit. We got a lot of AJ right now.
Gigantic. My head looked almost half the size of Kratz's. Astros camp is great. I've spent over my years at Fox and doing this show. I've spent a lot of time in Houston. They kind of jokingly call it my second home because every time we have the AL, guess who gets the Houston series? Me. So I have spent Gene, the PR guy, Joe Espada, their manager. I know a lot of their coaches. Dana Brown, who scouted me in high school, is here. So someone else that I have a little bit of a relationship with, and all the clubhouse guys. It's a nice atmosphere. Listen, we're in Palm Beach. It's sunny out. We're under a tent. I mean, what else can I ask for? I mean, I got guys. I see Jose Altuve carrying his outfielder's glove. It's a nice vibe here in Astros camp. They're always happy here in Astros camp, and I'm not sure. Maybe it's because they win every year. I don't know.
Yeah, successful franchise. That's what has to do with it. And you get to watch a bullpen session right behind you, which is cool. But let's show everyone the schedule for the rest of the week as we hit Nats camp yesterday. We started off our week with the Toronto Blue Jays. Everyone's been great talking to a lot of the dudes, and we'll definitely get both manager and GM, among others, here at Astros camp. Tomorrow, Phillies camp without Kratz tier, but he'll be on remotely. And then the Rays on Friday. But let's start with the skipper. We've got Astros manager Joe Espada with us over at Astros camp in Palm Beach. Joe, good to see you. How's this camp going for you now? Second go-round running the team, but also a good amount of turnover. Not necessarily bad turnover, but interesting to see a different roster for you this year.
Yeah, camp is going very well, and we do have some younger faces, and the goal continues to be the same, regardless of who's in and who's not here. Our goal is still the same, and I'm excited about camp. I'm excited about the players who are coming back to accomplish our mission, and some of these young players who want to be part of our mission, part of the process. So it's been going very well. We're very excited.
Hold on, I want you to take your. I don't know if we take your hat off, will we lose the microphone?
Probably.
Because no, it's fine. I can see it in your beard. Altuve in left field, I think, has got you more gray hairs than you had last year when we saw you.
You know what? And I actually shaved today because I was going to do this with you. Because I knew there was a possibility of you saying something about my facial hair.
So what? I mean, obviously no Tucker, no Bregman.
Yeah.
Fine. They're gone, so you move on. But Jose, I saw him in there, and I said to him, "Oh, left field now," and he's like, we'll see how it goes.
Exactly, and we'll see how it goes, and that's the plan, right? We're not committed to that to be, it's not on paper yet, but we want to explore that avenue. I think Jose is a terrific athlete, and by him doing that, allow us to do some things on the field, give some guys some off days. He's going to play some second base, but so far he's been good in the outfield. He was, this is something that I talked to him in the past, and he's been open to it for years now. So we saw an opportunity now, and we're gonna give it a shot. And so far, it's been good. He's an incredible athlete. And number one, his leadership. He will do whatever for this team.
You can see him run and catch the ball and throw the ball, all that stuff. How are you going to be able to tell, physically? He's getting up there in age. He has a lot of at-bats, a lot of games under his belt. How are you going to be able to tell physically if it's wearing on him more than second base was?
You know what? Well, for me, communication is the key. He's going to take some days, and he's going to DH. He'll have some games at second base. So it's going to be a constant communication with Jose to make sure that he's physically ready to do this. We are very much aware about the running. Aware about, he's leading off the game or leading off the inning at home, and he's got to run all the way from left field to get his first at bat, and only he's got 2 minutes and 25 seconds. Those are things that I'm constantly talking to Jose about, and the feedback has been great. But again, it's early in the process, and we're going to continue to do what's best for our team and what's best for Jose.
Is this been talked about before because of some of the struggles, not yips, but some of the throws that he's had and his comfort level at second base? Or is he just the consummate pro where he's like, you know what, I'll play wherever you need. Second base is where you need me right now because we're pretty good in the outfield? How was that conversation before?
Yeah, it has not. It has not to be any. It has nothing to do with numbers, and it just has to do with our roster, the way it's being created. We're getting some turnover. We're getting some kids that are coming from the minor league, and we would like to have some flexibility in the infield, especially at second base. So Jose is, the ultimate pro, and him moving to left field really allow us to be creative. So. Again, we'll see how it goes. But right now, I like where we at with Jose in left field, and the feedback that we're getting from him is tremendous.
We're going to talk about that guy right there.
Who's that? There you go.
Your new first baseman.
You're talking about another ultimate pro, Christian Walker. And since he's just walked by, let's just talk about it.
I was going to ask you about him next, so that was actually perfect timing.
We are excited about Christian for a few reasons. Number one, the feedback that we got from him, especially from our new third base coach, Tony Perichica, about his leadership. We talk about the bat and how well that bat could play in our ballpark, but also we wanted to improve our defense. And he is the best defensive first baseman in the game the last 3 or 4 years. So having him around, it's been an impact quickly to how we do our work and the right side of our defense. So excited to have him. Incredible leader. Our guys are really gotten close to him. He's not afraid to share his thoughts about, defense, even base running. Something that they did really well in Arizona is the way how aggressive they ran the bases, and having both Tony and Christian talk about it has been something really important for us in camp.
All right. Well, you just talked about new third baseman, or he almost was your second baseman. Isak, and all that's been said about, the Crawford boxes and, he's going to hit 1 million homers. Do you have that individual conversation with him, or is it kind of like you see him and you're like, you know what's going on?
No, he knows what's going on. And we've been interested in acquiring Isaac Paredes for a while because we know how the bat can play in our ballpark. Another thing that both him and Christian bring to the table is the ability to control the strike zone. Both of them are guys who are in the top in the league when it comes to pitches seen per bat. So that's an area that we wanted to improve offensively, and those guys bring that dynamic to our offense that we needed in years past.
Hold on, I know Crouchy's going to go, but you bring Paredes, you bring Walker. Everyone says, the Crawford boxes are going to make them better. Does it really make a guy better? Because people always said that about Boston too. You get a dead pull hitter in Boston, it's going to make you better. But does it make you better, but does it make you worse sometimes because you try to hit Paredes is a dead pull anyways.
Correct.
But like a Walker guy uses the whole field. So do you think it'll get in his head like, I got a dive hook? And then you go on the road and guess what? The Crawford boxes aren't there. And those are F7s.
Yeah, so that's a good question because we have discussed that about, this guy's swing, especially when they pull the ball. Like Christian Walker, anytime he pulls the ball, it's left center field, which will play really well in our ballpark. But you're right about Christian. Like he's more kind of middle, like right center field approach. Paredes is just dead pull. He's going to get the head of the bat out, and he's just going to pull the ball. And hopefully he does that, 15, 17 times in our ballpark. And we know he's capable of doing that. But we don't want to change their approach. We don't want them to change who they are. We just knew that swing can play in our ballpark.
Christian's going to hit dingers out of Yellowstone Park, let alone Dyken Park. So we're good to go on that. Nolan Arenado, a lot was being said. Did you talk to him? And if you didn't, or you did, whatever, but are you surprised he didn't say yes to accept being traded over to you guys?
You know what? I never talked to him. Our front office were working that trade deal, and they handle all that. I try to stay away from any of those conversations, but I did express, when the name came up, obviously we know how good of a player he is, and how good of a fit he will be in our club. But I left it at that. I let Dana and his group do that, and they're always looking for ways to improve our roster. But when his name came up, obviously it was something that, great possibility of adding a piece like a player like that. Gold Glove caliber, another right-hander hitter that he can pull the ball and will play really nice in our ballpark. So but yeah, I pretty much stay away from those conversations. I try to focus on trying to get the boys ready to play.
What about Bregman?
What about Bregman?
No, I know he's
yeah,
gone.
yeah.
How different is not having him?
Yeah.
Kyle Tucker was here for his whole career.
Yeah.
So when you walked in the first day here in Palm Beach, were you like, hey, oh, wait, hey,
Yeah.
oh, it's different, right? Not that it's good or bad or whatever. They went to where they went. You guys traded Kyle. But it's just different when you walk in and you've seen somebody for years and years and years in the same spot.
And I had this with in my speech with the guys the first day in camp. We have had turnover for a while here, right? We have lost pitchers like Garrett Cole, shortstop Carlos Correa, a first baseman like Yuli Gurriel. We lose Tucker, we lose George Springer, and one thing that we haven't stopped doing is we're still winning. We're still winning the West. We still find ourselves going to championship series, going to the World Series. I remember the year that we lost Correa, the player who replaced him not only won a Gold Glove, but he also was the MVP of the World Series. So we have ways to replace those guys with leaders, guys who are very talented, capable of taking over that position and allow us to continue the winning culture. But yeah, to your point, it's weird, even the conversation when he signed with the Red Sox, it's just because you get to love those players, not only what they do on the field, but as a human. So yeah, we're going to miss him, but it's time for us to turn the page and focus on the players that we have here in camp.
Did you yell at AC? Did you call Cora and say, dude, what?
Throughout the whole entire process, me, AC, and AJ, we were constantly talking about
the three amigos there.
We were just trying to get a feel for what was going on. So we were talking, but they weren't giving too much details.
I text AC, I text Alex Cora, and I said, are you getting Bregman? And then he said, oh, you meant that for my brother Joey, who's the third base coach. So then I text Joey and said, hey, are you guys getting Bregman? And he said, oh, you must be talking about you must have meant to send this to my brother. I'm like, well, one of y'all is not telling me the truth. And then obviously he went to Boston.
Yeah, I know. We were texting back and forth, me, AJ, Alex, just trying to get a feel for where everybody was at. So we weren't giving each other a lot, but we all expressed our wish to get, me getting him back and AJ wanting to add a winning caliber player like that, and Cora bringing someone like that can, bring that winning presence to that ballpark. So he chose Boston, and I wish him all the best.
That's Puerto Rican on Puerto Rican crime. You can't be. You guys gotta look out for each other.
We do.
Okay.
But when it comes to this kind of stuff, you're trying to put the best players on the field. He's definitely one of the best third basemen in the game. So, Alex Cora has a good one over there in camp for sure.
Who replaces him? Who replaces him? That swag, that edge that I think Breggy brought to the team. Do you know who's going to replace him, or are you hoping somebody steps up?
You know what? I'm hoping some of our guys will step up, but my pick here to click is going to be Jeremy Pena. Jeremy Pena has that presence. You could see him having that moment in the clubhouse when he will like to speak up, but Breggy or Hosey say something. But I could see Jeremy Pena taking some of that leadership role. On the position player side, Hunter Bryant is someone who's also very sneaky. He's taking over some of those young pitchers. So I could see Hunter Brown also having some of that leadership that we saw from guys like JV in the past.
His clone, you mean? Hunter Brown, JV's clone, Hunter Brown?
Yeah, hey, if we get that done, that'd be phenomenal.
That'd be pretty nice.
That'd be pretty nice.
Okay, before we end, McCullers is on track, right?
Yes.
To I don't know opening day, but he's on track definitely to pitch this year. 94.7 the other day.
Yes, he looks really good, man. I'm so happy for him. He's worked so hard to get to this point, and I keep saying he's going to play. He's going to pitch some big games for us. He's super close. He hasn't pitched in 2 years, so we need him to go and pitch some innings in AAA and build up that way. But you'll see him pitch some games here in spring training. He's close. His stuff looks good.
His haircut looks good.
His mindset, his mindset, his mindset is in the right play. I'm excited about him, man. I really am. This guy's pitched one of the biggest games for us. I remember 17 being on the other side, watching him start against one of those big games against the Yankees. So it's in him. Just got to stay healthy.
And last thing before we let you go, I saw Cam Smith in there. Monster, first of all. I mean, he's got veins coming out. I didn't know you had that many veins in your arms. Damn, I'm like, oh boy. How exciting is the future for Astros? I mean, leading with him and then some other younger guys you have.
You know what? I want to first talk about the human. Like, this kid is an incredible person. Is a man of faith, family values. He's super coachable. And then once you put that on the baseball field, his skill sets is off the chart. The power. He actually is a really good runner. Can play third. If you could put him in the outfield, I'm sure he's athletic enough to do it over there. We are excited about him. I'm excited about his future. And, he's close. He's close to being a big league player, very close.
Yeah, that was a great pickup by Dana Brown, who we'll talk to soon. Joe, really appreciate the time. Great to chat with you. Good luck the rest of camp, and we'll catch you during the season.
All right, guys. Thank you.
All right, FT fam, we're going to have Spencer Arrighetti, starting pitcher for the Astros, joining us when we swing back from the TV break. A little breaking news. Jose Iglesias has found a home, I think, signed with the San Diego Padres. I say I think because there's Robert Murray breaking the news. We find out after that, Kratz, it's a minor league contract. So if he doesn't make the club, they don't really pay him anything. I'm like, hold up. Candelita gets a minor league deal after hitting .337 last year, 137 OPS plus. His defense is slick. Finished the season on a 22-game hit streak. Was clutch as hell. Clutch as hell. Runners in scoring position, monster. It's like every time there was a clutch moment and he came up, he delivered. How does someone like that not get even some type of guarantee? There are very few left on the board where I'm like, hey, let's see what this looks like. But not one team can use Jose Iglesias to any extent. To me, it starts to mean, are some teams not into the song and dance, literally, from last year?
They're not into winning. They're not into a W. Like, this was a winning player. Mendy came on last year and said, Jose Iglesias might be the MVP of this team. Like, when you make a run like that, there are certain key people that are part of that. And I'm not saying the Mets need to have him back. A minor league deal, I'm shocked. When I saw this, I was shocked.
Do you think it's because he's got the singing career and some teams are like, I don't want to deal with that? Well, then hey, I know him for a long time. He is nice as can be, very open and honest and easy with the guys, obviously with his teammates. He's can play multiple positions, veteran, not expensive. I don't know. That one's crazy. Hey, I want to give props to the Padres because that's a great depth piece for them, right?
Right. Another athletic shortstop who is willing to play another position. Shocker that the Padres got him.
True. I'm just looking around at lineups across baseball, and I'm like, you don't buy into this? What? Because he had a high batting average on balls in play. I think it was 382. So you don't believe that it's real? That one's tough for me. I mean, he had this problem last year, and he spoke to AJ about it a year ago and was like, I can't figure out why I can't get an offer. And finally, spent some time in the minor leagues. The Mets were like, hey, we're going to get you called up as soon as if there's a problem. And he comes up and he was freaking gangbusters. And hey, I mean, the Mets lost Nick Madrigal. He was the guy that came in to replace him, and Madrigal's probably done for the year. So you're right. It would have been sick to see him like burst through that door. Yeah. Good for the Padres, though. Great pickup. Here we go. We're back at Astros camp with Spencer Arrighetti joining us in the rotation for Houston. Spencer, great to have you on, man. How's camp going for you now that you feel like, hey, I've been here, I experienced last year, and you can get yourself really geared up for the season in the big leagues?
Yeah, man, camp's going great. I mean, like you hit the nail on the head there. I kind of got a little bit of experience last year. I feel a little more comfortable around the guys in the locker room this year. And obviously, I know my process a little bit better. I know that it's a really long season, and this time of year is about gearing up. And I feel like I've done a really good job of staying inside that and just knowing that these games are for a reason. These bullpens are for a reason, and I'm really getting my work in right now.
Sorry, I just got shocked by my microphone, so I apologize. When you got called
that
up
was
last
me,
year,
AJ.
what's that?
That was me. I just was trying to tell you your next question, so I shocked you.
Well, no, but I had the question lined up, and all of a sudden my ear was buzzing, and I was like, "That's not normal." So, Spencer, you got called up last year, and before you got called up, you were kind of the next guy, right? It was Forrest, and then it was Hunter Brown, and then it was you, right? So then when you get there, your career didn't get off to a blazing start. I mean, you did okay, but then as the year went, you could tell you got more comfortable. You kind of realized, like, I fit in here. So how does that transition work from going to a top prospect to then realizing, like, I could get these dudes out?
Yeah, man. I mean, it's obviously it's an interesting experience when you know the expectation coming in, and you know that in this organization specifically, like, guys don't typically see that growing pains stage that some rookies tend to. I mean, we've had arm after arm come up and excel right away. So obviously, the moment I walked in the door, I knew that was the expectation, was to come in and contribute and help us win ball games and give us a chance every 5 days. And that's a big responsibility, obviously, when you go from top pitching prospect to now I'm in the back of the rotation. I'm trying to prove that I belong. I'm trying to prove my stuff's good enough to not just myself, but everybody around me. And it felt like I put a lot of pressure on myself internally to impress people all the time rather than really make the most out of my innings. And I think that some of that external pressure and internal pressure on the days that didn't matter weren't really contributing to me getting better in a way. It was kind of me beating myself up for not being the guy I thought I was capable of being right away. And then I think I had to start at home against the Rockies in July, and I punched out 10 double-digit punch-outs, first time on our staff for the season. And that moment was really important to me, not only because I felt like recently before that I had shifted my attention more to just getting my work done and being ready for the game rather than working every day like it's a game. You know, I think sometimes I had a tendency to try to impress too often, like throwing programs, bullpens, things like that. And then one day I just made it about my start that week. One rotation around, I didn't really do too much in throwing program, didn't do too much in the bullpen, just kind of like felt what I needed to feel and shut it down. And that was really when things started to change, was just really maturing and cleaning up that process in between games.
Did they talk to you? I'm not sure if you can hear me can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got
Perfect. Did they talk to you about the right things in the minor leagues as a pitching prospect, as that guy coming up that needs to be in this rotation to help this team win and go back to the World Series like they always have? Did they say the right things?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the group of support that we've got from the minor league end to the big league end here, it's top notch. I mean, everybody I've come along has had their bit, had their piece that's helped me get that much better. And I firmly believe that a lot of the stuff that we're doing here on the minor league side directly gets guys ready to go and compete. And then once you get there, it's kind of figuring your game out, I think, that's not something anybody can teach you. You kind of just have to get comfortable doing what you're good at and executing that at a high rate and making adjustments as fast as these guys do in the big leagues. And obviously that's like a kind of intangible thing. You have to get out there in the arena and see if you have it or don't. And that was a really big test for me early on, was just seeing if I could let my brain catch up to these other brains around me that are thinking and seeing baseball in real time. And I think I spent a little bit too much time thinking in analytic terms when I was on the mound. And the more I got away from that and just made it about competing, that was really that was the difference maker for me last year. But yeah, obviously the whole base of years that I had in our minor league system definitely got me ready for my big league debut, for facing challenges after the fact, all of it.
You threw a bullpen today, correct?
I did, yeah.
Right there.
Yeah, right over there.
I have to ask you, because this is intriguing. I mean, we ask a lot of. We've been kind of asking pitchers this while we're in spring training. They have the cameras, they have the iPads, they have everything over there. You said you were heavy analytics. So when you throw your bullpen, do you stop and look at every pitch?
I'm looking at one pitch on TrackMan right now, and it's because I got a goal there. And that's, in my head, that's what the data-driven training is really for, is if something is standing out as could use some work, that's really what we nail it on. And the things that aren't asking for it, I've learned to stop tinkering, because I feel
like pitch? I want to know what pitch.
I can't say too much.
Oh, come on.
It's new.
Oh, boo.
New pitch. You got a splinker? You got what's the new change-up thing that everyone?
A kick change.
The kick change.
That one's cool. I like that one.
Okay, yeah. Knuckleball. Maybe you're trying to get the spin down under one.
I don't know. I mean, I hear there's like guys throwing knuckleballs 88 now. I don't know if that's my thing. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if that's my thing.
How about that? He won't tell us what pitch he's working on. What the heck's going on here, Scotty?
Too many guys watch this.
Yeah. Oh, so you don't want to get. So the first time opening day, you're going to bust out a kick.
I'm gonna rip something that nobody's ever seen.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Hopefully.
I like that.
Hopefully nobody's ever seen it from me.
I like
But we're
that.
not going to see it in spring training?
Times.
Okay.
Yeah. I haven't thrown it yet.
Have you thrown it to any of your own teammates?
I haven't thrown it to them
Not
either.
even in live BP.
No.
So if we got Jeremy Pena or Jose over here, and I said, hey, Spencer.
They got no clue. Yeah, they got no clue.
Oh, okay. Okay, boys.
But yeah, I think that's what the TrackMan's really for, is if you're trying to get better at something
Are you a
could
shape
be the
guy?
difference.
Are you a shape guy, a spin guy?
I am a shape guy technically. Like my break chart is
break chart.
spread out, like that's what you're usually looking for. But I don't really spin the ball too crazy. I think for the most part, my game is separation. Like I got a pretty good four seam, and I got a bunch of other stuff behind it that I think is it's big enough that it looks straight but moves. Like the whole deception aspect of pitching. I feel like that's really what I leaned into last year. So yeah, shapes are important.
Is there a guy on your team? Is there a guy on that roster and that pitching staff, bullpen or starters, that you go in and you're like, whoa, I see Hader's fastball? You go in and you look at the TrackMan data, you look analytically, and you're like, could I do that?
I look at the way Hunter Brown started ripping two seams at everybody last year, and I mean, like, analytics can say what they want, like the results speak way more than that. His four seam's like the same shape as my two seam, but for some reason does the complete opposite. People swing over it, they hit it on the ground, it's all crappy contact. I really wish I could do that, honestly. I wish I could just get guys to hit the ball on the ground on command, but that's been a pretty big challenge.
So you're a fly ball guy.
Yes. Extreme fly ball guy. I've been tabbed.
In a park that's not supposed to be conducive to fly balls. But
yeah.
you do okay.
I did all right. Yeah, I gave up
so
like
your
20
okay
homers.
Just don't have them hit it from left field foul pole to like 50 feet.
Just hit it to center field, please.
Yes,
that's the whole game.
You just don't want them to go that way.
Yeah, don't hit it to left. Hit it to center.
Because if you have to go like this, you're usually then asking for a new ball.
I mean, I know I got Jake in center field usually. That guy hawks everything down, and we got the biggest center field in the whole league, it feels like. So I don't really think too much about it, like the whole fly ball thing. But yeah, if it's going to left field, I don't look at it sometimes. I don't really want to know.
But so you missed when Minute Maid.
Yeah.
When they had the hill.
Taos Hill, yeah.
It was like 30 feet farther back.
Yeah.
They moved it in and made some changes. So think about if you could have had Jake running up the hill, dodging flagpoles.
I think Jake's doing it.
You've seen the highlight of Lance Berkman running up there and catching and then having a,
somersault.
Yeah,
a little.
And then having a whole thing where he had to lay down and catch his breath. And then Jose and left.
Yeah.
You ready for that?
Yeah, I think we all are. It looks good, man. I mean, he's been really grinding out there. We've seen him in a few games now. I mean, I love it. He's Superman. He can do whatever he wants.
Speaking of Superman, you guys lost. I asked your manager Joe. You guys lost a little bit of edge in that bullpen in the clubhouse when you lose Alex Bregman. Who do you think is going to be somebody that's going to step up? You were a rookie last year, and you saw how the feel of the clubhouse is. Who's going to bring that edge for your team as a mindset now?
I mean, obviously, you name drop Alex. I mean, that guy's one of the best competitors I've ever met. I mean, he leaves a big shadow, but I know that we have a locker room full of guys that he's instilled that attitude in. I mean, when you have leadership like that, like the effect remains, in my opinion. I think I've said that already. I think that attitude is still in our clubhouse, and the guys that are facilitating it. I mean, it's exactly who you would imagine. It's Jordan Alvarez, it's Jose Altuve, Lance McCullers. I mean, Hunter Brown even is stepping into a big role. It feels with some of our American pitchers. Like, there's a lot of guys that look up to him a lot, and that his intensity on the mound and in between games, like, it just gets passed down. And I think that the vibe is still the same. I mean, we know that the expectations to go out there and win ball games, and we're doing everything we can to just do that.
Okay. So 2 more questions before we let you go. You mentioned Hunter Brown.
Yeah.
What's he going to do without JV here to copy? Because
I don't know
that JV's going to come back this year. I mean, listen, if you put them side to side, for a while everything was like.
If you were a kid from Detroit growing up, then who would you throw like?
Why not Galarraga? Why not Scherzer? Why not Anibal Sanchez? Rick Porcello?
No comment.
Joel Zumaya.
No, we don't want to be like Kenny Rogers. What about Kenny Rogers back in the day?
I mean, I can't blame him. I don't think he's copying him too much anymore. Hunter's Hunter's
No,
identity
when he
on
first,
the
it was more like when he first, it was
the
like
mechanics. I
army
mean,
cop.
yeah, like the up, the down, like all that stuff. It is. Like you could put the two side by side. I remember. I think I was probably fresh in the org when they were releasing those videos, and I was like, yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. Like I'm sitting there thinking if I was in Detroit watching JV pitch when I was a kid, I mean I'd probably do everything he did. Also, I think it wasn't JV for me, but you can see the way that I throw and some of the guys I looked up to a lot. I loved watching Tim Lincecum when he was in San Francisco. I really, really loved watching Max Scherzer in Washington. There was just those guys with like the weird, funky low slot getting really close to the hitter. That's like always been what I thought was really cool or really nasty. So I tried to do that. And, I mean, you kind of see a little bit of it now. Obviously, I'm not side by side picture perfect with anybody, but I think that the influence part it's pretty natural when you're growing up.
Nice. All right, before we let you go, I don't know if we can get a shot. We can kind of see him right here. Best shoes of the spring so far. Year of the Snake, Jordan 11s.
Nice.
I'm just saying, best shoes of the spring right here on Spencer. So
hey, man,
Scott
look
doesn't
out.
even know what those are, but I have a pair of those. They're the best.
I am a bit of a sneaker guy. You can see it in the cleats I wear on the field. I like the Jordan 1s, putting the spikes on the bottom of them. And I have the Year of the Snake 1s now, too. I'm going to break those out this year. Yeah, they look sick.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're obviously are you a Nike
I'm not under contract.
Because I was always wondered if you're not how do you get cleats and then you send them? You have to send.
Yeah,
them
you
to
just
somebody,
you
right?
get the spikes or you get the shoes and you send them off. The guy that does it for me is Custom Kicks on Instagram. They do a great job. He does Marcelo Zuna's. He's had some of the Travis Scotts on field last year. I mean, the guy does crazy work. It's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it. There you go,
Yeah, I
boys.
know
There's your
those guys.
fashion. Dana
They're
Brown,
awesome.
Arrighetti, rocking style today.
And he's a shoe free agent. So now the world knows. You said, guys, watch.
Now
You might get a phone call. And you know what you're talking about. So you want guys that obviously are into it. So Spencer, this was awesome, man. You're super well spoken. We'll have to get you back on during the season, but have a great rest of camp, okay?
I really appreciate that. Thank you guys for having me today.
Thank you. That's Spencer Arrighetti in the Astros rotation. Be right back. FT fam, Arena Club is the modern way to collect cards or buy or sell or trade or even grade. And we're highlighting slab packs because this is the new way to rip open a pack, get a really good card, AJ. But also, if you're not into the card, like I know you pulled a Bob Gibson card recently, you can get an offer of 90% of the estimated value and just accept it on the spot and give it right back and maybe try again with another slab pack.
I ain't getting rid of my Bob Gibson autograph card. Bob Gibson ain't signing cards anytime soon, so I'm keeping this one. It gets graded for you. There's no mess. The only thing I wish they had bubble gum. Can they virtually send me some bubble gum, Scott? Other than that, it's awesome. You can buy, sell cards. They grade them instantly for you. And physically, you can also get the cards if you want them. So I'm all for this. This is one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Yeah, those cards are in your showroom in the app. And then, of course, you can get the card physically sent to you. So right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/FOUL. That's arenaclub.com/FOUL. Code FOUL for 20% off your first purchase. All right, back for another minute just because I have more on the Iglesias signing. It's a $3 million contract if he is in the major leagues. And I believe there's about $1 million in incentives as well. Because some people online were like, I thought he had a major league offer. So we'll get more details as we go along here, Kratz. Maybe he had a major league offer for less, but the minor league offer gives him more if he makes the big league team. I'm just throwing things out there. That's not crazy. That's happened before where a team's like, hey, you got to make the roster at a camp. But if you do, then you'll make more than, say, I think Madrigal signed, I think it was about $1 million on a major league deal, but then it's not as much upside.
Nobody's guaranteed a spot. So what's going to happen? And I get a little irritated when people are like, oh, well, you'll make the team. Like, what's going to happen if something happens to Jose Iglesias in spring training? Not even talking about like him not playing well to make the team, but just, oh, he's got a little tweaked hammy. Oh, okay, don't worry about it. We'll pick you up. We'll still pay you $3 million. We'll still give you that, the roster signing bonus. No, like, to me, a guy that played as well on a winning team should have some type of guarantee. And he has nothing right now, according to what I see in the contract that's coming out.
By the way, you guys, I saw Luis Guillorme today, who was obviously a Met, and we had a conversation about Jose Iglesias today, and I'm like, how is this guy a free agent? He hit 300 last year, had the whole OMG, but he wanted to go back to New York. Now he's going to San Diego. You're right. There's nothing guaranteed, but I would think that the Padres need depth. He's probably going to make the team. And by the way, when you say no one's guaranteed to make a spot, Kratzy, Bryce Harper, Mike Trout, Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, they're making the team.
I meant minor league contract guys.
It's time for the Inside Scoop. Great to see FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal. Ken, I want to start with your freshest article, and that was on Bryce Harper. What can you give us that you learned about Bryce, including the fact that maybe, just maybe, he could head back to the outfield at some point?
That probably was the newsiest item in the story that I wrote, and I interviewed him for about, 10 minutes yesterday. We hit on a number of topics. His future, his length of career, all of these different things, 500 homers. But the most interesting thing he said from a news value standpoint, again, was, yes, he is willing to go back to the outfield, perfectly willing. He has no preference. And his thought is, if the Phillies can get a first baseman who is a difference-making kind of player, then he would definitely do it and gladly do it. But in the meantime, he's at first base. He is happy at first base and comfortable there. And he enjoys the extra work that he does there. So far, so good. He really rated well defensively according to the advanced metrics last season. So he's there for now, but the scenario he mentioned during the offseason was if there was a chance the Phillies could have gotten Pete Alonso toward the end, then maybe at that point, sure, he would have moved back to the outfield, but that never really materialized at all. So it was just a thought in his head.
Did you discuss an extension with him, Ken? That's what I want to know, because remember, was it last year where he said, oh, I want to renegotiate my 22-year deal that I signed 7 years ago? I mean, did that come up at all?
It did. He did not say he wanted to renegotiate it, but he did mention that, yeah, an extension would be great. His point is on this, even though he's signed through 2031, is that he wants to end his career in Philadelphia, and he's not going to push it. He told me he's very comfortable where he is, where his feet are right now, but at some point, yeah, he would probably like to entertain that, would definitely like to entertain that, because that is his goal. His contract goes through age 38. He talked about playing into his early 40s, assuming good health and everything is fine. So, yeah, he would ultimately like that extension. Whether you get an extension with 6 years left on your current deal, actually 7 right now, that would be pretty unlikely. But, yeah, he would be open to that for sure.
Can you hit on his desire to win a World Series and how much that burns inside of him?
Well, Eric, I started the article with an anecdote from 2012, the Division Series. The Nationals lost to the Cardinals in 5 games. If you remember, they blew a 6-0 lead in that game, a 7-5 lead in the 9th. And they lost 9-7. They were eliminated. And I remember after that, I lingered in the clubhouse a long time waiting for different guys to emerge, and I was one of the last reporters there. And Bryce came out and kind of looked at us. He was 19 at the time. He was not yet 20. And he said, he was disappointed, but he goes, I'll be doing this for the next 15 years. And he's in year 14 coming up, and he's not won a World Series. It's not as easy as sometimes players might think when they're young. I remember covering Cal Ripken for so many years. He won a World Series in his second full season, never won another one, and he played forever. So at this point in his career, that is what Harper wants most, more than anything. And he's been pretty clear about that. They came close in 22. They got to the World Series, but he obviously wants to finish the job. And he mentioned, I didn't include this in the article, that they've got an elite pitching staff. They have some players who are eligible for free agency coming up. So with this particular group, the time is now.
Ken, we had Mike Rizzo on yesterday from Nats camp. He was also in that 12, and I inadvertently brought that 2000, or he brought up the 2012, and I said, that was the Cardinals. He's like, yeah, thanks for bringing it up, as you mentioned. But do you think that drives guys like Bryce Harper? I know he hasn't won, but when you lose a series the way, and then he leaves for Philly, and then the Nats win it after he leaves, right? You think that's a driving factor in Bryce being who he is, the player he is, and as just, I mean, he is like all go all the time when he steps on the field.
He would have been that way anyway, I believe, AJ. That was him from the start of his career. And I don't know that the loss in 2012 affected that burning desire as much as the year by year going forward in the postseason. He's had monster postseasons. He's been in 7 of them. But he has yet to get to the point where he is a World Series champion. And that is the goal of any player. And a guy like that, it has become pretty clear over the years that that is the number one driver for him. That's what he wants to do more than anything. It is for every player. But this is a guy who shows his intensity, and it is manifested in that drive to win a World Series. So I don't know that it was any one event, even the Nationals winning the year after he left. I don't know that that drove him necessarily. It's just that that is something he has always wanted and will always continue to want.
Can you elaborate on his thoughts of the Juan Soto deal? You hit on it in your article, but you had a 10-minute interview. Was there, you get the extra different feelings when you're actually talking to somebody when he talked about the Soto deal?
I asked him point blank, does it bother you at all that he's making, Soto is, more than twice what you are in total value in the deal? 765 versus 330. It's incredible. A difference of 435 million. And Harper's answer was a little bit surprising to me. He said, no, it doesn't bother me at all. That didn't surprise me. I didn't expect him to say, oh yeah, now I want to renegotiate. He said, I'm making a lot of money. He said, what does surprise me is when he sees players that he perceives didn't get enough. He mentioned Aaron Judge, 9 years, $360 million. And he mentioned Bobby Witt. He felt that if Bobby Witt had waited until free agency, that he could have gotten a Soto-type deal. And maybe he's right. But Bobby Witt Jr. decided to take that 11-year, $287 million deal with Kansas City. That, too, is a lot of money. He's going to be okay. But that was Harper's point. And he pointed to also to Gunnar Henderson as a guy who, once he becomes a free agent, and I believe he becomes a free agent at 28 or 29, he's a little bit older than some of these other ones, then he'll be in position to do some big things in the marketplace as well.
Ken, I want to stay in the division and ask you about the Braves. Did you get a chance to check out Evan Drellick's article on, their whatever Q something earnings that all are very public? I find that stuff fascinating. They had tens of millions of dollars in profit. What can we learn from that report as a sport? Because it's really the only inside look at the famous line that we hear of, show us the books. The books are thriving for the Braves. Even last year when, they didn't go deep into the playoffs.
Right. They were a publicly owned company, and that's why we have access to their earnings on a year-by-year basis. Teams have their own ways of doing math, and the Braves' numbers are what they are. If you talk to other teams, they will tell you, well, this might be true over here, but this is true over there, and we're not doing as well as you think we are. Unless we had the same kind of transparency with every team that we have with the Braves. The Blue Jays are also publicly owned, but I don't know that their numbers are as publicly available. I'm not sure about that. But in any case, 28 teams are not publicly owned. They're privately owned. They do not open their books. And when the owners say, or an owner says, well, I'm not doing that well, or I'm doing okay, but I could be doing better, whatever the argument might be, those arguments are hollow because we don't have access to the actual numbers. The Players Association does. They don't necessarily have those numbers, but they have revenue numbers that the teams report. They don't release them, though. That's part of their confidentiality agreement with MLB. But in general, when a company of any kind, forget a baseball team, a company of any kind is telling you we're making money or we're losing money, and they're not actually revealing to the public what they're talking about, you have to be skeptical. It's only natural to be skeptical, and we're entering a period now, Scott, as we've discussed, where there is going to be a CBA negotiation, and owners are going to try to make their teams and positions look as weak as possible when we all know they can only be so weak when the sport as a whole is drawing record revenues of $12.1 billion last year.
Will they ever open their books? Because we always hear is there ever going to be a salary cap? Will they ever open their books?
No. And I don't know that any privately held company in America is going to willingly open their books. And I guess you could say, well, if you wanted to make your argument better, if the owners wanted to really drive home their points and they could show that they were losing or not making as much, whatever the case might be, maybe that would be a motivation for them. But I don't believe they are losing or doing as poorly as maybe they would like us to believe. So why would you open your books and let everybody see the truth?
Hey, Ken, I know you discussed this yesterday on Fair, but as we've discussed many times on the show, I've never seen Fair territory. So one of your topics was Pete Rose. What did you say about Pete Rose? Because I've given my opinion on this many times. You worked with Pete at Fox. You've known Pete for a long time. What did you think? Do you think something will change because the president comes out and says he's pardoning him, and then Rob Manfred all of a sudden is looking back into it? Do you think anything will change over the long haul now that Pete has passed away?
Well, first of all, Rob Manfred was looking into it or talking with Pete's lawyer and daughter well before Trump was even elected. Or I'm sorry, he was after he was elected, but well before Trump issued his statement about pardoning him for whatever he's going to pardon him for, if that indeed takes place. I said on my show that I don't believe Manfred is going to change. Baseball has been very, very consistent about this through the years, that he is a person that agreed to a permanent ban, and that permanent ban is going to remain in place even posthumously. But the wild card is, and I didn't mention this and I regretted it after the show, let's say President Trump decides he's going to put a lot of pressure on baseball. At that point, Rob Manfred's in a difficult spot. He's in kind of a difficult spot already. A lot of people really want to see Pete Rose made eligible for the Hall of Fame again, to see that permanent ban lifted. So I don't know what's going to happen, and I probably shouldn't have been as strong saying I think just Manfred will stick to his guns. I don't know that if the pressure comes, both from Trump and the public, and/or that he will be as able to just withstand that pressure. We'll see. Should he be reinstated? Everyone has their opinion. I would like to see him reinstated, and I would have liked to have seen it happen before he passed away, just so the Eras Committee, whichever one would be the one, probably the classic Era Committee, could vote one way or the other on whether they think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I wish the writers would have had a chance. It's past that now. His eligibility for the writers' ballot is done. But to me, that's a question that should be decided by the people who are selecting Hall of Famers, not Major League Baseball. Actually, it's the Hall of Fame saying we won't have an opportunity for any player on the permanently ineligible list to be in the Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame could change their mind tomorrow on that, but has not.
Ken, quick follow. I know we got less than a minute, but do you think that MLB might say, okay, because it was, quote, a lifetime ban, or that was what it was looked at, and then they do put the onus back on the Hall of Fame? Because it has sounded like MLB doesn't want to be the ultimate decision maker, and the Hall of Fame kind of pushed it back on them.
It's possible, Scott. And again, my initial thought, and if I had to make a bet, I would still say no. I don't expect Manfred to change his mind on this. He's been very adamant. If they do change their mind, guys like me can pull up quotes from many different points in which he was quite strident and pointed about not taking Pete Rose off the permanently ineligible list. But times change. He has passed away now, Pete, and I would imagine that in that meeting with Rose's daughter, she made an emotional appeal on behalf of the family. And I know a lot of fans look at this and say baseball has connections now with gambling companies. The point baseball always makes is, well, he bet on baseball. Now, that's the cardinal sin. It's on every clubhouse door. You can't do that. I'm not sure what the proper thing is at this point, but I would like to see him made eligible again and let the Hall of Fame committee, the veterans committees that exist now in different forms, let them decide.
Sounds like we'll get an answer from MLB at some point soon. Ken, thank you. Enjoy camp in Florida. We'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys.
FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal, fair territory, of course, out there for the world from Monday's episode to learn more about his thoughts on Pete Rose. And then, nice shiny new graphics too. And then on Thursday, live with Alana Rizzo, taking your questions on YouTube, 12:30 Eastern time. FT fan, be right back from Astros camp. Next up will be Dana Brown, Astros general manager. But before we get to that, a little recap on our Ken conversation just now. Kratz, what did you think of all the Bryce Harper back and forth that he had. And I love the fact that Pete Alonso was in the back of his head. That would have been a wild storyline. Bryce back to the outfield, Pete to the freaking Phillies.
I mean, Christian Walker, I think, makes more sense just because, or would have made more sense just because he's from the area, doesn't have that, like, Mets wouldn't allow Pete to go to Philly. I think that's when the price for Pete would have gone up had Philly been in on that. I just think it's awesome that he sat down and talked to Ken just about real topics, about Juan Soto, about the fact that he thinks some guys should wait longer. One of the questions I'd love to ask, I asked Bryce, and I thought of it after we had Rizzo. Is there a little bit of hard feelings that it never came out or that there wasn't a large extension from the Nats like Juan Soto got? Because these guys, elite players, are just as competitive as, like, the mediocre players. And to me, I want to know more about Bryce. To me, this is a type of platform that we need to hear more about Bryce, because Bryce was the chosen one. He was that guy, and he's lived up to everything, but he has a lot to say, and he's really, he can grow this game for us. So anytime there's anything about Bryce, like, I'm like, ooh, I want to listen.
Yeah, and by the way, I think he was offered some things. I don't remember. I have to look back. It was so long ago.
Yeah, I don't either.
AJ. I don't remember. But anyway, your thoughts?
No, good on Bryce for doing this, first of all. I mean, we don't get a lot of sit-down interviews, but if anyone can get one done, I mean, it's the one reason we have Ken on this show, right? Because he can get these kind of things done, not any other reason. But, yeah, good on Bryce for doing this, and good on Bryce for being honest and opening up and saying things. I mean, of course, when he looks up and sees Soto was 765, he's like, well, but at the same time, for him to say, hey, I'm making a lot of money, that means a lot to people that are listening. So good on Bryce for doing this. Good on Ken for getting this done. And thank you, Bryce, for being just real about real topics. I love to see guys when they're real and they open up and they show fans that we're real human beings too.
All right, we'll get back to the show. Dana Brown joining us next. We've got Astros general manager Dana Brown with us right now on Foul Territory. Dana, great to have you on. You had a lot of work to do this offseason. Do you feel like you can take a breath now here in spring training and just watch all the new additions thrive?
Nah, we're still grinding. We did have a busy offseason. Ultimately, we made a lot of different moves, and, we wanted to work in the present and build toward the future. And so that's probably pretty much why we did some of the things that we did.
What was the hardest thing?
Yeah, the hardest thing, of course, was, trading Kyle Tucker. I mean, it was, very difficult, but, we saw an opportunity there to continue to be good in the present and build toward the future and getting a guy like Cam Smith. And so, we felt like, look, this is a good move for the organization. You gained 14 years of control by giving up 1 year of control.
And was any of that precipitated? Was that preluded by the fact that you saw what Juan Soto got and you're like, whoa, Kyle Tucker, wait a minute, this is going to get expensive? Or was this already in the works before the whole Juan Soto getting $1 jillion?
Yeah, so, part of baseball operations, what we do is we have these conversations and, we think about like, hey, can we sign this guy long term? What's the percentages? What type of shot do we have on getting this guy done? And we knew all along that, look, if Kyle Tucker goes to free agency, he's going to be, a guy that, that's going to demand probably a lot. So, look, we took a look at it. We had been talking about it, and then we just put the works in play during the winter meetings, and we felt like, look, this was the best thing for the organization.
Take us. I've always wondered this about a general manager, president of baseball ops, or whoever is running the day-to-day and making these moves.
Yeah.
How far in advance do you guys think about this stuff? Because did this enter the Astros' mind last year because there were some rumors about Tucker maybe getting traded because of this coming up last year. So how far in advance do these things come into play? Because I'm sure Jim Crane comes to you, the owner, and says, "Hey, here's our budget." Does he give you a 1-year budget? Does he give you a 2-year budget? Like, is it spread out so you're like, man, I got to get to this number this year, next year I have this, or is it fluent?
Yeah, so you're always thinking about this. Look, you're always thinking about the present and the future. When you work in baseball operations, if you don't think about the present and the future gets on you quick, and before you know it, you're caught in a bad spot. And so we had been talking about, like, look, what is the percentage of getting this guy signed? We felt good. He came up through the organization, but the more we talked about it, the tougher it seems like it was going to be. And so, we had to put our heads together and say, look, is this an opportunity where, we could continue to be good here in the present, build toward the future. And so these conversations start, 18 months out, sometimes 2 years out, and then it get more intense, when you get within the 6-month period. But this isn't something that you wake up one morning and you say, oh, we should do this. No, this is something that we look at, years out, sometimes months out, because you always have to be thinking about the organization, where you're going, and what you want. Do you want to be competitive now? Do you want to be competitive in the future? Should we, just let this guy play out here, or what should we do? And you're always having those conversations.
Dana, I really appreciate you coming on here, talking. You've always been a very open GM, and you talk to the media. Do you feel like when you said Tucker will be an Astro, do you feel like, maybe I shouldn't have said that at the moment? Did you feel like that was going to be the case, and then things changed as you went longer and longer into negotiations?
Yeah, listen, you can't fault a man for optimism, right? And so you want to be locked into the future. And, I felt like, look, this could be a big part of the future. And, and I know when I was in Atlanta, we were trying to lock guys up like early on in their career. And so, I was very optimistic that, look, we could probably get this Tucker thing done. And, sometimes these things build on you, and, guys continue to play well, and it gets a little bit more difficult. And so, I'm always an optimistic guy. It's just part of who I am by nature. I'm energy, I have optimism. And so I'm always looking for the good. I think that's a big part of having some success. You have to have a vision for what you want to do. And so, look, I was really optimistic about it, and, it just didn't work out. And it wasn't like, we weren't trying.
Speaking of trying, there was a trade that was tried with Nolan Arenado. I don't know how much you can say about this, but were you surprised? Because we asked your manager, and he's like, well, I don't know because I'm not in it, but you're kind of in that.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we don't really get into, our conversations, whether it's free agents or trades, because there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
But, if I'll put it to you this way, if we have a need at a certain position, we're going to, do our due diligence, and we're going to ask about players, and we're going to try to acquire certain players. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't work out. And so, look, Arenado is an interesting player. He had a good career. He's probably on pace to become maybe a potential Hall of Famer. And so he's an interesting guy. And so we looked at multiple players that we thought would be a fit. And, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
Makes sense. How about Jose? Left field, Jose?
Yeah, look, I don't know if you saw that first play that
we did, but then he made a nice one against the wall.
Yeah,
so.
It's pretty special. That play against the wall was really nice. And I don't think we're committing to it yet. I think the energy is there.
Well, he gave away his infield glove, so he's kind of committed to it already.
Yeah, he's going to have to play some infield.
Okay.
Look, at some point, you're going to have to go back to second. It's the versatility thing where, if we want to have certain bats in the lineup, we could put Altuve back at second. So I don't think that we're fully committed to it. I think that we are excited about it. We like the path that it's taking. The trajectory of it is good. He's taken well to it. He's actually running balls down in the gap. Sometimes you forget how fast he is until he went in the outfield. I was like, man, he's got pretty good foot speed. And so I think it's working out well, and we're going to continue to see what it looks like during spring training. But, is there an opportunity that he could play some left field? Absolutely.
Opening day, is he your left fielder?
I mean, that's going to be Joe's decision. But look,
so you don't hand him the lineup
because
some people said the GM hands every manager the lineup.
No, I give him some ideas, but I don't handle it.
Okay.
But ultimately, he's going to make that decision. I think the path of it is it's good right now. I think the trajectory is good. I think it's moving in the right direction, and it's looking like it could happen. But we still have a lot of time left.
Dana, you've been a great evaluator of talent for a while in this game. I mean, you can go back to some of the decisions that you helped the Braves make. They were brilliant. So I wanted to get your take right now on the roster. You're here, you're in spring training, you're actually able to look at the guys. What is something that you feel really good about with the team? And then what is something where you're a little worried about it? You're like, I don't know how this is going to play out. I hope it plays out well, but this could be a weak spot for the team.
Yeah, look, the most exciting thing for me right now is to watch Cam Smith and watch him develop and to see him really play third base. I don't know if you guys know it, but I actually went out and saw some players for the draft. I tried to see our first round pick. I ended up seeing him last year during the ACC tournament. We liked him, didn't know if he was going to be able to play third, looking like he's developing at third base. So he's really creating a lot of conversation, and he's playing well right now.
Who was your first round pick?
So we took Walter Yannick, the catcher. And so, we feel good about Yannick, but, he may be, 18, 20 months away or somewhere in there. But, we were picking in the back part of the draft.
As you do every year, because you guys are always in the LCS and the World Series.
Exactly. That's where you want to pick. You want to pick at the back part. And so I ended up seeing him, and then when the trade talks came up, I was like, yeah, we got to have this guy. He's playing very well, so I'm excited about that. We have some openings, in our bullpen, and that's where we have to make, fill some holes. So that would be a big part of my focus. Is who do we have, for those bullpen spots where it's going to be innings 5 through 7 if your starter runs into a little bit of trouble, and that's where we're focused right now. We feel really good about the back end with Abreu, and Hader, but we do have some spots that we have to nail down in the middle.
Dana, just to double down on Cam and how good he's looked, if that continues when he starts off the year, say at whatever level in the minors, and he's just raking, when you bring him up, is the plan to have him as a third baseman, or could there be some outfield time for him as well?
Yeah, so we're working through that right now. He's getting some reps at third base, which is probably his main position for right now. But we're not opposed to seeing what it looks like in right field. I think that could be a potential possibility. But we're not leaving any stone unturned. Look, if the bat's ready, we'd love to have offense, and, we'll move them along as quickly as we could. And we're not afraid to go with young players. I mean, that's just, part of what we're going to do here. And so, we're excited about him. He's bringing a lot of energy there. Love the makeup. The kid's pretty special. He's got a nice combination of confidence and humility. And so he's developing nicely.
That's great. I mean, that's why you mentioned Tucker. You had to trade Tucker to get a player of Cam Smith's value. Wesneski and I blanked on the third.
Wesneski and Paredes.
That's
yeah, right. and it's like you're focusing on the present because you want to maintain. You want to be really good, and then you're focusing also on the future because you get a guy like Cam Smith that really brings it all together.
The problem is you guys made so many trades with the Cubs. I lost. Was it Presley for Paredes? Was it was it Tucker for Paredes? So what about Presley? I mean, I know he's making some money, but for what he has done for the Astros, the amount of money he was making wasn't like exorbitant. Where you're like, wow, we just really can't afford this guy. So was that a money move? Because everyone's like, oh, it's just a money dump. But also, you kind of did him a solid, right? Because he wants to close, and with Hader, he's not going to close. So there's more than just went into than just, hey, this is just a money.
Yeah, there's a lot of decisions that go in the moves that we make quite often. And so, Presley was a guy that had a lot of success here as a closer. He's been outstanding. And so he, made it very clear, like, look, I still love closing. I would love to close. And so, thinking like we're thinking present and future, we saw an opportunity to get a future starter in a Juan Bello. And so we made that trade for Presley. It had nothing to do with money dump. Presley's really good. And he was going to pitch for us, toward the back end, 8th inning, 7th inning, whatever, depending on what lineup was coming up and that type of thing. But ultimately, he was a true professional about it. He took the back seat to Hader and said, look, I understand why we did it. He still wanted to close, though, at the same time, and I understand that because he had so much success. But ultimately, he was a true professional. So he took the setup role, and so he still wanted to close. And, we found an opportunity to get him a closing job. And so we wish nothing but the best, and he's been a true pro the whole way.
Let's go to Isak. How long have you been tracking him? How long have you, and how close did you get to trading for him? Because I think I saw rumors that you're possibly close last year because, he's a guy that everyone thinks fits with you guys.
Yeah, so we had conversations last year at the trade deadline. We were just talking about acquiring offense, and his name came up. And so we had our eyes on him. We knew that he pulls a lot of balls for home runs. And so we were like, look, this guy's bat's probably going to play in Dyken Park now. Back then it was Minute Maid. But we felt good about him in our ballpark. And so he was like a big target for us. And the fact that things lined up with the Cubs, they were very interested, in Tucker. We had interest in Paredes, Wisniewski, and Cam Smith. And it kind of took a little while to come together. But it was like really a good trade, I feel, for both sides. I mean, they're going to get, a guy that could potentially be an all-star again, a guy that, potentially could be in the top 5 votes in MVP, and top 5 in MVP. And then also, potentially we're going to get Paredes. Like, he's been an all-star. Cam Smith's got a chance to be a really good player down the stretch. And then Wisniewski's a good starter. So I think it's going to be a good trade for both sides.
Okay, before we let you go, this last thing. We always have a running joke on the show that every GM wears a quarter zip. So congratulations. You're the first GM that hasn't come on here on a team quarter zip that has the Astros right here. You're dressed loafers. I mean, this is the best dressed GM we've seen in our 2+ years of doing this show. I mean, what was that? That's Peter Millar.
So if you would have caught me yesterday, I would have had the logo on.
Yeah, I mean, can we talk to the equipment? We can't get an Astros logo on his shirt.
It's the timing.
Gene, what's going on here, Gene?
It's the timing.
Oh, yeah. Gene, see, the PR guy, Gene, has the Astros quarter zip sitting next to him. So it's amazing. Dana came on. And by the way, Scott, you're Jersey guy, right?
Jersey.
Oh, there you go.
What town?
I grew up in New Brunswick, right by Rutgers University.
Oh, biggest Rutgers fan right here, watching them get blown out by 30 last night, every minute of it. So I'm with you, man. I grew up 20 minutes away, so I'm with you. And I echo that. Best dressed GM, no quarter zip, right. a little nice, dry fit. I like it. Dana, this was awesome. Thank you for the time, man. Good to see you.
All right. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Appreciate All right, FT fam. You know who was supposed to join us today on the guest list? Christian Walker. And we got some news that he was scratched from the lineup today. A little oblique soreness is what they're calling it. Left oblique soreness. I was trying to look up real quick if that was the same side as last year because he did miss some time in the second half of the season with an oblique issue, but I don't remember. I'll have to.
It would have to be. I would think it would have to be.
Left oblique from last year too?
Yeah, and by the way, I have my earpiece out just so everyone can complain about me having mine out too. So, but mine is actually custom, so it stays in. Unlike the other ones that unless Scott wants to buy custom earpieces for every player in baseball, it's going to be a tough slog. But yeah, it had to be his left. I don't think that you would pull your right one as a right-handed hitter. That would be, everything he does is kind of this way. So I would think it would be the same one. I don't know that, but I would think, right, Krautsy?
You can pull your right one. To me, it happens either on the swing. One side is on the swing, another side is on check swings. Like the front one I think happens more on the swing, and then the back one I think happens more on check swings. I don't know. It's been a while, but somebody told me about it. Now I get them mixed up, like my rights and my lefts.
You got this. Anyway, do we get concerned when something pops up for someone that was an issue late last year?
Yeah, it's early. I'm sure this is very precautionary, and they have time. They still have almost over 3 weeks until opening day. I think they have enough time to get this calmed down, and with the minor leagues, it'll be full swing by then. So he'll be able to get his at bats if if he has to sit out for a few days, he'll be fine. He'll be able to get back into the groove, and Christian Walker will be fine.
I'm not concerned. I'm always concerned about obliques, though. Like, spring training is the time when you're like, just relax, just take your time. If they say a week, take 2 weeks. This is the famous AJ's quote: "Take your time, or it'll linger."
Biggest loss is we don't get him on the show today, but we did have him on late last year, and we can
wave. He did wave when he walked by to me, though. He waved to me when he walked by.
I used to do this in the playoffs sometimes when I'm like, "You playing or not?" If there was a guy who was hurt, I would do one of these.
He just walked by, and I just waved to him. Josh walked by too. Kratz's boy. Kratz has no pull apparently.
What?
Hater?
That's the Josh that I know on the Astros.
I mean, I got no pull. Look, you're there. Don't let him cardinal you.
I didn't see him this morning.
Whoa, Roki Sasaki. Better than box scores. Dave Roberts was like, yeah, that was the best we've seen him so far in spring. AJ, what did you think of his first performance? High 90s splitter is disgusting.
Let Kyle Teal hit off of him and then get back to me there, Dave. Okay? Kyle Teal's just waiting to take him deep again. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Spring training, he pitched well. Splitter was on point. What was he? He was up to 97, I think I saw, 97 or 98. So, good for him. But it's spring training. We always say spring training. No one's ever seen him. No one's gotten a look at him yet. So, I don't know. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. It was a spring training start, but the splitter looked good. The fastball looked good. We'll see once the lights come on. But I like what I saw. It was a nice first step. But Kyle Teal was not in the lineup.
Is he going to keep that fastball? That's my question. Any elite Japanese pitcher comes over, is he going to keep that fastball? Because the years where the Japanese guys that came over had great years, yes, the splitter was a thing. But can you continue to spot and locate that fastball? The Dodgers do a great job of creating value out of each of your pitches. I don't think they're going to get rid of it. It's more of, when he gets that thing whacked the first time, is he going to be like, oh, that's the last one. Now it's all fastballs out of the zone. You saw it in Yamamoto a little bit last year. First heater got whacked, and he kind of shied away from it. Then when he came back, he was able to locate it, and he had more success. So to me, that's the biggest thing. But man, that splitter, I would love to see a little breakdown analytically of how much that thing moves, because that's extra. Some of them were looking like curveballs.
That was the talk on socials when people were, like live tweeting and watching. People were saying, does he have 2 different splitters? Looks like we've seen it break a couple different ways.
Guys, I've caught. I've seen it. Massa used to be able to manipulate his splitter the way that guys like manipulate fastballs. And essentially that's what it is. It's just how far you're able to split that out there. You don't get, Jose Contreras, the fork ball, all the way up to guys being able to throw like more of like a cut splitter. That thing is, that thing's getting it.
3 scoreless, 5 strikeouts, gave him a couple hits, a walk, but it's just a good start. And they hadn't seen him dial it up to that range. And, last year the fastball velocity was down a little bit. AJ, remember, he did his tour, even though he was basically set on the Dodgers. And he was asking different front office staffs about their thoughts on his season last year and how he could, whether it was get more fastball velo or more bite on it or the shape, whatever it was, he was collecting information from other teams. But he touched 99 on the first pitch of the night. I know it's not all about velo. It's how that fastball has life, especially late life. But, this dude's pretty special. And it's better to see it this way than it would have been if, we only saw him pick up a couple outs and everyone was whacking the baseball all over the field.
What would have happened if his first pitch would have been 89? Do you think there would have been panic in Dodgerland? All the other fan bases would have been like, "Oh, see, we told you we didn't want him anyways. We didn't really want Roki to come over here." So no, I think this was a good showcase. Again, Kyle Teel wasn't in the lineup. Sorry about it, but
He's not on the
this
red.
was a good showcase. I know, but again, there's one guy that's taken him deep so far, and he took him way back. So no, I thought this was a nice start. Again, I thought it was great. I thought it was cool. I'm sure Dodger fans were excited. And I'm sure Japanese baseball fans are excited. Let's be honest. This is good for baseball. It grows the game globally, and I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm. And then Chris Sale, 4 almost perfect innings yesterday. No hits, a walk, 4 strikeouts, 95-mile-an-hour called third strike at the knees to end the fourth. Is coming from David O'Brien, who was there watching him. Last year's Cy Young winner with 6 hitless innings and 2 Grapefruit League starts this spring. Also pitched once on the backfield. The biggest thing, AJ, for me in this outing was who was catching him.
Who was it? Austin Barnes?
Drake Baldwin.
I know. No, I'm just kidding. I was thinking about Roki. And I can't really see the monitor because of the sun. Drake Baldwin, well, he's going to have to get ready. Now I can, Mark. Thanks, Mark. Drake Baldwin's better be ready with Sean Murphy getting, rib broken. And you're like, your first at bat of spring. That sucks. But Drake Baldwin better be ready. I guess Chadwick Trump now will have to be on the team. But Drake Baldwin, guess what? It's your time to shout with the Atlanta Braves. Let's see what you got. And you know why they did this? Why Brian Snitker did this? Because he knows that he's going to need him comfortable catching Chris Sale when the season starts. So there he was out there. And if I'm the Braves, and I know Murphy's going to be out for a little while, I'd rather have Drake Baldwin come up and start and see what he's got, because that way you can't have him come up and sit and only play once every few days. You got to have him come up and play. So I like this move by the Braves.
And they get that familiarity with him is huge. But as a young player, you'd look at Chris Sale like, oh my gosh, he's so intimidating. He looks so like part of that transition is through Sale too. Sale needs to be able to be who he is with a young guy or with a veteran. And so as much as they'll say, well, it's great for Drake, it's all that, it's all for him. To me, you have to have that confidence as a pitcher. I'm not saying Sale doesn't. Sale seems like he could throw to one of those plastic cutout dummies and he'd be fine. But you have to have that confidence that this dude's going to be able to block my slider, hang on to this slider, keep the pace that I want to throw when I'm out there.
A couple things. Number one, as you can see in the corner of your screen there, we do talk about Drake Baldwin with our Baseball America shows, specifically on their prospect profile. It's on the Baseball America YouTube channel if you want to check that out and learn more about their top prospect and how he's going to be thrown right into the mix to start the season. Number 2 question in the live chat, Kratz, and it's one that we get every time you say it. Who is Masa? There are youngsters out there, and also probably just people who don't know the nickname, so you need to provide context when you call out your buddy.
Masahiro Tanaka, unbelievable Yankee pitcher, super elite, as he said, also famous person in Japan.
Boom, there you go. All right, let's get to Pete Crow-Armstrong inside the Parker. More just a chance for us to talk about him because he's going to get everyday ABs in center field. He is stupid fast. So there he is, sliding head first into second. And then he's wheeling around and scoring. If you look at what he did as a player last year, just the hitting stats, AJ, you're like, meh. But he is a wins above replacement darling because of the other parts of his game.
Hey, listen, that dude can fly. He needs to get the blue hair back again because it's not blue like it used to be. But I think Kratz could have scored on that throw to second. That ball was just bad. That was spring training baseball at its finest. Cutoffs and relays. The Padres haven't worked on it yet. I think Pete Crow-Armstrong, if you talk to Craig Counsell, you talk to people inside the Cubs organization, Craig Counsell stood up for him last year because there was a lot of people saying, I don't know about this kid. Craig Counsell loves this kid. And anytime you have a manager that has your back the way Craig Counsell has PCAs, it's a good thing. Yes, he plays defense, but they really do think he's going to be able to hit on a big league level.
Yeah, you need somebody.
Yeah,
you need somebody to stick up for you when you're hitting in the low 200s. You need somebody to stick up for you, and I think this is a unforeseen value that Craig Counsell brings to a marquee organization. You think of the Cubs like, well, we have to save some type of face here. We can't have a guy showing up to Wrigley and hitting 200. If your manager believes in you, then you start to have confidence. Then the organization is like, okay, we'll listen to you. We've seen what you've done up in Milwaukee. And you know what? I love this video of this Little League inside the park home run because I'm showing all the guys on my baseball team how to back up bases. So this is perfect. Guys, it's a base hit. All right, where's my center fielder on this play? There's so much going on. Oh, the center fielder was backing up the left fielder. Right fielder sleeping. Now he's bringing it in. Basics.
Well, let's go over some of that right now in a moment. He's getting set up. Dave Clark is teaching Jose Altuve a little outfield action. And yeah, he's ready to go. So let's go back to him. He's all set up with AJ right now. Dave, thanks for the time and stopping by. I'm sure you're having a good time spending a lot of time with Jose Altuve. So how are you?
I'm well, Scott. How are you doing?
I'm good. What is AJ doing? Is he flexing for you for some reason?
Jeremy walked by. Jeremy Pena walked by. He was holding his bat like this, so we could all see his biceps. Look at that thing.
Hey! Oh, wow!
Yeah. First of all,
all right. Anyway,
hi Dave. How are you?
I'm well.
Good.
Well.
I see him. This guy's always smiling. But I got to ask him this: did you see the Pete Crow-Armstrong play yesterday?
I did not.
So that he got a base hit to left. The left fielder threw to the cutoff man. The cutoff man threw it in the crapper to center field. No one was backing up. He scored. So Kratz wants to know who's supposed to be where because the center fielder was backing up the left fielder, and he said the right fielder was sleeping. And
where did the throw go?
the throw went to the cutoff man, which is right.
Okay.
And then the cutoff man threw it away to second. He missed
the right
second
fielder
base.
wasn't in there.
So the right fielder wasn't there.
The right
so
fielder's got to be in that area, of course. Yes.
Here it is.
Here we go.
we're showing it now. Can you see it?
There's the throw to the cutoff. Then he throws it away.
No right fielder.
And there's nobody.
Yeah, he's got to be there to back up that play.
How do you teach that? Like, are you telling Jose Altuve, hey, listen, I know you played second base, but you got to back up the center field. There's a throw to third. You got to back up this.
No doubt about it. I always tell the outfielders there's somewhere to go on every freaking play. You know, if you're not quite there, you got to be in that area because what we try to do is keep those guys from going an extra 90 feet.
I love it. What's the biggest challenge for Jose? Because I want to know, do you take him out there every day and you hit fungos to him, you shoot fungo balls to him through the machine?
We've done everything with Jose. We've hit him ground balls, hit him fly balls. We got the machine out there working on him coming in on the low liners, going back on balls over his head, side to side, and he's taken to it very well.
What's the biggest challenge for him?
Well, you know,
there you go.
What the best at? Jose Altuve he's a baseball player, and I think that's one of the best compliments you can ever give an athlete, especially a guy who's played professional baseball. He's that guy. His head is always on a swivel. He's always been a guy, and I remember when he first came up, he's just one of those guys that was a sponge. He was always looking for information. He absorbed it, and he went out and put it in play.
What's the biggest challenge?
Biggest challenge, honestly,
besides
guys,
the glove. Like I was laughing at him because he walked out and he showed me his glove, and it looked like because he's used to the little tiny second baseman glove.
Of course, I think the biggest challenge would be for him is just basically running in from left field to the dugout every night. Especially if he,
that's what Espada said.
Right, and especially if he has to lead off the inning. He's used to that short walk, but now he's got to run in and make sure he's ready to go if he's leading off the inning. So that's just him getting his his outfield legs on him, his outfield lungs on him, and we'll see.
Hold on, Kratzy. I know. How many times have we talked about this?
Come
Outfielders,
on.
you look out in the outfield, right? Catchers are back there. Their guys throwing knuckleballs and splits in the dirt, and you got the outfielder out there going between pitches. Oh wait, let me try this. Right? I mean, he's like outfield legs. Like, what are we talking about?
Scott, nobody works harder than the outfield. Trust me.
Come on, Dave. Be honest. You have been in this game for a long time.
Yeah.
How recently have you started hearing, well, you know what? We got to start tracking how many steps he takes, and we're in the third base dugout for this stadium, so maybe we'll give him a day off. Come on, be honest with me.
You're trying to get me in trouble here, buddy.
No, I'm trying to.
Hey, let me tell you something. When I got back in the game last year, I saw guys wearing these contraptions around their waist, keeping up how much sweat how much they're perspiring. And I'm like, are you kidding me? If that was the case and I played, man, I would never took you there because I sweat like a pig when I played.
That's right. But how much do you honestly worry about it? You are so locked into the person, like in his headspace, how confident he is. You're positive. But how much do you really worry about that? Like, hey, I know you were always at second base. Now you got a little bit farther to go. How much do you worry about those legs? Because we talked about it a lot last year with Judge transitioning to center field out of right field, and it was a huge discussion. How much do you worry about it with a second baseman going to left?
I don't, to be honest with you. I really don't. Jose's prepared. I mean, he's one of the guys that come in to camp every year in shape, and we don't have to worry about him as far as getting ready to play because he's always prepared.
What about a Daikon? The park.
Well, because
it's not a normal left field.
Not
right?
at
Like
all.
it would be like going to Wrigley, where normally, when you played at Wrigley, the gaps they come in instead of go out, right? So there's a little bit, but Daikon has angles, and with the Crawford, how do you tell him you can't really teach him that until he gets out there.
That's exactly right.
There.
And the key to that is having a really good center fielder. And I think we got one in Jake Myers, and being that his glove side is in that left field gap is going to help him a whole lot.
What about Jordan? Where's the value? Because we had Joe on here, we had Dana on here, and they were talking about the best value for this team to put the best lineup out there. What can you work with Jordan to maybe get a few games out in left field, or a few more than what he had, or just improve in the games that he is out there?
Well, I think the biggest thing is his health. If he feels like he can go, he'll be able to go. He usually tell us if he's able to get out there, and if he's out there, we're going to put the work in. But he's a guy who doesn't just want to DH every day. If we can get him 2 to 3 games a week out in the outfield, I think it's going to help us, and that way we can get a Jose off his feet and he can DH for us.
What's your plan? Because we're just talking about Daikon and Alvarez. He's adequate left. He's not awful. He's adequate out there. But you take Jose and you go to Daikon Park, and they have the wall. We used to, as visitors, and I've asked people this, we used to just tell our left fielder to stand at the corner, and that way, if you go to your right, you're not going back, and if you can go back to your left. If it's over your head to the right, it's off the wall. Play it off the wall. It's a home run. What do you tell the home guys, especially a guy like Jose that's new out there?
Well, we got mostly where we're going to line them up is right at that cut. Because, again, balls that are hit over his head is probably going to be out of the ballpark and off the wall. He just got to, if it's off the wall, he just got to back off and try to keep those guys to a single or a possible double. But for the most part, that gap part, the only way he's going to get out there and be able to handle that is, game time. Game time, when we get there for a couple of days before the season starts, he'll get his work in there. As a matter of fact, he did a little bit during the offseason.
Send him early.
So,
yeah. You should send him early. Send him up. Hey, Jose, sorry, you got to go. You and Dave are going to Daikon to work for a little bit.
He's going to be fine out there. I really do believe that. He wants to be out there. He feels rejuvenated, and right now he's having a blast out there.
We talk about the guys that other people in the org talk about here because we're not in camp every day. A lot of talk about Cam Smith. Now, the GM came on here and was like, yeah, we love seeing him at third base. Are you like, wait. Like, I like this guy in the outfield. Do you have to, like, push and pull and, like, kind of argue with these guys? Like, hey, we're working with the outfielders here. Let my guy stay in the outfield. Like, I think he could be one of our guys.
Well, we'll see. He started to get his work in out there the last couple of days or so, and I don't know what the plans are for him as far as the outfield play, but he's starting to work with us. And this kid is a really good athlete. He's got a great attitude, and he wants to play. Man, he wants to be a big leaguer, and I think he's got a good chance of, if not starting with us, maybe sometime during the course of the season, he'll be up.
You fighting for him?
We haven't had those meetings.
Oh, okay, okay. I understand.
Yeah,
so, Myers is slated to play center field. Jake.
Yeah, Jake is our center fielder.
Right field with no Tucker. I mean, you did lose a guy that's pretty good out there in right.
Well, no doubt about it. That's the part that's open. We do have Chas McCormick out there.
Speak of the devil. There he is.
We're looking for him to have a bounce back here offensively because we know what he can do defensively.
I like it.
All right. First base coaches. We don't have a lot of first base coaches on here. You guys usually kind of lay low. Where do you find that value on this roster in getting guys to be able to steal more bases, getting guys to read pitchers? Where do you find that value the most?
Well, I think it's very important, and most of the time, we have keys on these guys if we're looking to try to steal bases. But my biggest thing is, the base stealing part of the game is back, but going first to third is more for me is just as important as stealing the base. And I think with the kind of lineup we have in the past, we didn't have to do that much running because we had guys that could bang. Guys get to first base, guys hitting balls out of the ballpark. But we're constructed a little bit differently this year, and from an offensive standpoint, we plan on putting more pressure on the defense by trying to steal more bases and going first to third. And I know a lot of teams say, hey, we're gonna go to spring training, we're gonna work on first to third, but there is an art to it. Knowing the outfielder's arm, knowing their arm strength and our arm accuracy, and also just knowing the speed of the ball that was out there too, and knowing your speed. And the thing is too, my biggest thing with these guys is don't be afraid to get thrown out here in spring training because here we are in March. Who the heck's going to remember you getting thrown out, in a spring training game when the month of July comes? So we're here to work on it right now. We get thrown out or whatever mistakes we make during the course of spring training. We work on it. We get better, and we'll put it behind us.
I want to know this because I wasn't a base stealer. Kratz wasn't a base stealer. What do you whisper in guys' ear? Because you get over at first base, and the first base coach would never say anything to me. They just be like, there's one out, don't do something stupid. And I'm like, okay. Well, you get these fast guys over there. What do you whisper in their ear?
Well, the biggest thing, I just give them the time. And they already know the key. I remind them of the keys when we get there. We always tell them this right here, too. If the guy slide stepping, then there's no sense in trying to steal his base. But for the most part, they get the time. I can remember telling at the call to Tucker. Once I gave him the time and he felt like he would go. And that was one thing I did like about him. We got a few other guys over here that's the same way. They get the time. They know that time is high. They're ready to go.
All right, who's leading the Houston Astros in stolen bases this year?
It's going to be Jeremy Pena. We got to bet he's going to get 50.
50?
He's going to steal 50 bases this
year. Whoa! No, them biceps.
Well, I tell you what. If not, he owes me a car.
A car?
if
a
he doesn't
car,
know,
not like a dinner. A car. You got a car. A four-wheel car with like keys.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. Okay. Kratz never won no car. I know that.
Hey, 20 stolen bags for him last year, 13 the year before, and 11
Joe,
in
can Pena
2022.
get 50 bags this year? Oh, man.
What'd he say?
Skipper said 30.
Yeah,
he said 30.
He's going to have 30.
Ooh-wee.
Well, I need more on this before we go. How is he going to steal 50? Has he talked about how he wants to be insanely more aggressive on the bases? Is his sprint speed faster this year? He's not slow, obviously, but is his sprint speed faster? And what kind of car are you getting if he ends up with 44?
Well, we really haven't talked about the car yet, but I know it's going to be an expensive one.
All right, yeah.
But as far as seriously, but Jeremy is real fast. He reads pitches well. He's always ready to go. And this year, it's a good chance he's going to have the green light because he didn't have it last year. He stole 20 plus bases, so he get the green light this year. He'll have 30 at the half. He'll have 50 something before the season's over.
If he gets 50 bases, I'm here next. I'm here in spring training next year because I'm going to drive the car up. I'm going to back it in. Beep, 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 beep.
Sounds good.
Right?
Sounds good.
Oh, that's going to be a great day in Astros camp.
I would love to see that. Well, Dave, this was awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great rest of camp.
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Eric.
Appreciate you. All right, we'll be right back from Astros camp. Woo-wee. 50.
50. Even if he comes up short and you get 35 from Jeremy Pena, that's big.
He said 30 at the half. 30 at the half. That's the outfield instructor and the first base coach. I know we were kind of talking about that and he came on quick, but I love to hear the expectations like that and set big goals. I think if he said 30 or 35, we would have been like, okay, he's going to get after it. But he was saying that he didn't have the green light in the past, Kratz. So does that mean, tell me how much of a difference that is?
Huge. That's a huge difference. Because as a guy that never had the green light, you sit there and you go, all right, well, what are the opportunities that with the green light that I can take advantage of? There's so many scouting reports. Is this guy, does he come set here when he's going home and here when he's picking over. Like, there's so many things that, like, all I need, because in the minor leagues, for teams I played on, I had the green light. If we had a tell, you could have the green light. I had a season, I think I had 9 in one season, 7 in another, or maybe I'm going a little too high, but you're 7 for 7. You just continue to get an opportunity to run. And those are things that you want to take advantage of, even as a slow guy. If the numbers match up and there's a tell that matches up, you can go and you are safe every time, no matter who's behind the dish.
This doesn't always correlate, but the sprint speed right now for Jeremy Pena this past season, 98th percentile. I was looking, I was like, maybe it'll be like in the 80 range. 98th percentile sprint speed to help tell the story, AJ, of why they're like, yo, dude, you got to steal more bags.
All right, let's do it. He's got to get on base first, right? So he's got to get some singles. He's
True.
got to take some walks. He's got to get on base. Jeremy's always been a kind of a power doubles homer guy. But when he gets on first, he can go. And by the way, Kratz, I never had the green light. And even if I did, I didn't want to steal because that's 90 more feet I had to run. And I had to try to run fast, and I would be breathing way too heavy if I had to steal a base. So I was like, there were times they'd be like, you can get a base here. And I'm like, I'm just going to stay where I'm at and hope the guy behind me hits a homer.
I was barely playing. So the extra 90 feet that I could get to help the team, that way it doesn't take 3 hits to score me from first, just 2.
By the way, you're right. I mean, the on-base percentage not super high for him, so that'll be a key here. Take some walks. All right, FT fam, be right back. We'll do a For the People segment. We're For the People. We asked for some takes on the ABS, automatic ball and strike system, robo umps for some of you. So we'll show some from our friends on Instagram. I love that graphic, by the way. Very, very pro. But we asked people for their take, and let's run through a few right now. John said it's going to delay the game more. LO. Well, I don't know how to say the rest of this. Get rid of it.
John hasn't been to a game where they've done it.
Yeah, it's a few seconds. So
we're good.
We're good on that front. And also, there's not 30 challenges. You know, you want to debate how many a team should get, that's fine. But another person, I don't know how to say this name either. Lilo, there we go. I'll just take a part of it that is not inappropriate. I'm not a fan. I don't like how people believe technology can fix everything right now. Do we really think it's that much of a problem to fix a few more calls, especially the ones that are going to be blatant? I get it. If you get 10 challenges, they're going to try and just challenge everything and be real specific. And I just think you got a few a game that you're going to use. I mean, technically 2, but obviously more if you get them right. It's not that big a deal. And it's going to get rid of the really blatant ones in our sport that go super viral. And people might say, oh, well, that's good for the sport. But I'm like, do we really need Angel Hernandez to be getting more attention than anything else in May of last year or whenever that was? Or does Wyatt Langford just go, boom, challenge, roasted, boom, challenge, roasted, boom, challenge, roasted on all 3 of those pitches that he called a billion feet off the plate?
Okay, real quick. Like, do you want to see the best player continue his at-bat? Go look down the list of the players who have gotten some of the worst calls or consistently missed calls because of their size, because of how they stand in the box. Yesterday, I watched the Yankees game, Spencer Jones. They called a pitch this high above the strike zone, a strike. All right, challenged it, switched it over. Aaron Judge has the most balls called strikes of anybody in the big leagues at some point last year. I forget when it was, but like, you want to see those guys continue to play. You want to see the right calls being out there. Technology is not taking over the game. Like, it's okay.
And we got to go.
It's not getting rid of the umpires. Go.
And we got to go because Mauricio Dubón is joining us next. So we're going to take a quick step aside so we can get to him before the show gets out. Be right back. Sorry, Kratz. Just wanted to get ready for Dubón and take a quickie commercial so they can get ready. But yeah, this is a tough one to have hot takes on. Roy said, the Braves wish it was in place in 1997. Matt said, it friggin' sucks. If we continue in this path, catcher will be totally devalued. Really?
No, Matt. Somebody that the value was in the receiving, I am not against that. I get it. If they would go to complete robo umpire and just have some machine making all the calls, yes, the value would be gone. That's not what we're going with. You would see some big hulking left fielder who can't play left field behind the dish. The value would then just go to blocking and throwing guys out, which they devalue right now. Although the good teams still value it.
Agreed. It's not for every pitch. This is a really nice solution, especially for now. Also, I just want to be fair. Most people are for it. We just wanted to get some takes and find out why they're against it. We didn't get a ton of detail on most of them, besides technology taking over the world. I'm like, don't we just want to get some extra calls right that don't take up time, that fix the really bad stuff? And also even, I mean, for umps, sure, they don't want to be completely replaced either, but we're not replacing them. We're fixing the really big mistakes that stand out. And sure, there might be one that's really on the edge and then it gets overturned and people are like, we're getting too specific here. Okay.
Nope.
Still, what's a ball, one's a strike? Yeah, there's a line.
They're giving a lot to the pitchers, by the way. You're getting a full ball off of each side. So now the plate is 22 inches instead of 17 inches. Like, pitchers need to take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm. Back in a minute, Mauricio Dubón, Houston Astros in Palm Beach. Is Mauricio Dubón the most interesting man on the Astros? Joining us right now, Mauricio, you play a bunch of positions. I heard you're running the music in the clubhouse now. Great to have you on. How you doing?
Good. How you doing?
We're doing well. Is it true? What kind of music you playing?
Everywhere from Luke Combs to Madonna to anything.
Well, but this is what I want. He's playing second base today. I just asked him. I said, "Are you full-time second baseman?" We've had this conversation. He said, "No, I'm going to play outfield on Sunday." And I asked him how many fly balls. How many? 0 fly balls he's taken this spring. Right? So think about that. He's playing second base today. Then Sunday he's going to play outfield. He hasn't taken 1 fly ball, but he's athletic enough. We've played enough positions that he can do it.
Yeah, people don't realize. Sometimes I apologize to when I was telling AJ, like, I apologize to like some of the coaches when they try to do that with a young guy, because sometimes I make it look easy and it's not.
It's not. He does make it look easy.
He
does make it look easy for sure. Second base. Well, let's ask this: what would you rather play, infield or outfield?
Second. I love second.
You love second. So this offseason, you called up Hosey and you go, Hosey, sorry, bud, I'm second. You're up.
No, actually, I owe you a big dinner.
You owe Hosey a big dinner.
Yeah. No, Hosey. He's great. He's been one of the greatest second basemen in the league. I mean, I got a chance to play for him, and when he got hurt in the WBC, I mean, I was able to cover for him, and it was fun. It was fun, and I'm excited for this year. He's a big part of the team, and I think he's gonna do great. He's gonna do great in left field.
Mauricio, congrats on finally passing me on the home run leaderboard. When we were teammates, you probably never were going to pass me on the home run leaderboard, but you finally hit your 32nd home run for your career, so congratulations. I still only have 31.
Thanks, Gatsy. Appreciate it. It's been a long road for those 30.
It has been a long road. You slowly get them. But I want to go back to the music mix. How long did it take you to slowly allow you to get aux, allow you to get on the Bluetooth and play your music? Because you can't just stroll into Houston and be like, "Hey guys, you want to listen to my mix?"
No, it was so in the gym. Every time I go in the gym, I put my music on. Depends on the day. I put it on, and people will ask, "Hey, who's playing this song?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's me." I go from, you got the country guys, you got the Latin guys, you got from old school music to new music. I mean, it goes on. So I've been trying to put. Tucker was last year, so sometimes I give Tucker suggestions, and Tucker will give me his iPad, and then I'll put some music, and that just went about it like that.
Do you switch it based on the city that you're in or the person who's starting that day, or is it just how you feel the vibes?
So Brandon Crawford. Every time we play. When I was in San Francisco, he put the music. Depends on who pitch. So that's what I'm trying to follow. Depends who's pitching. I put music on. Today we had a little bit of country because Hunter Brown started. So no, we're getting there.
All right, I got to ask you this because when we bring people on, I always go to their Wikipedia page. Honduras.
Yes.
How many major league players from Honduras?
One. Born and raised. I'm the first one.
You're the first one. Are you
one.
the only one?
I'm the only
Still?
one. Still to this day. We're working on getting more people.
How? No, not how are you getting more people. How did you become? Did you fall in love with baseball seeing it on TV? Did you fall in baseball?
I don't remember the first day. I remember just having, just being on the baseball field. My dad play, my brother play, just watching them. And since when you're a kid, you're always I want to play in the big leagues. You grew up watching ESPN Sunday Night Baseball, and in Honduras it was the Yankees, the Braves, or the Red Sox. So for me, it was always watching baseball. And one day I said I want to play in the big leagues, and knowingly that there was never from my country. I mean, it was a long road from a dream, but ended up paying off.
Wow.
It was pretty crazy. To this day.
That's like the coolest thing for me, because I was thinking when I looked, I was like, oh, that's right, he's from Honduras. I don't know of any other.
No,
because you see Panama, you see Nicaragua.
I tell people like I tell the some of the guys, like, it's like watching a Dominican guy play for Real Madrid in soccer.
Okay,
that's how it feels.
Is that your squad?
Yeah.
Real Madrid?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Okay. All right, last one before we let you go. We just had Dave Clark on here. He said Jeremy Pena can get 50 bags.
I believe it. JP he's a sprinter. He was a sprinter back in high school too. So he can fly. He put the burner down. He can fly. He got to get more green light from Joe. So
it's Joe.
Joe
there. You guys heard it here. It's Joe's fault now. It's not Dave. It's not JP. It's Joe's fault if he doesn't get it. Well,
hey,
Mauricio,
I love that.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mauricio. Appreciate you. Great to talk to you. Good luck the rest of spring.
You were an awesome teammate.
Yes, he loves you.
Go.
Yes.
There we go.
All right, be right back, everyone. All right, let's do our BetMGM futures. By the way, Kratz, everyone's scrambling to go check their Jeremy Pena stolen base totals. We'll have to check that out after the show. They're like,
they don't have it up yet.
Everyone's running for it. Oh no, I'm sure you checked. All right, number of NL East teams to make the playoffs. At least one is at plus 600. Oh no, exactly one. Sorry, is at plus 600. 2 is at minus 125. 3 is at plus 170, and 4 is at plus 6,000. Interesting that 2 leads the pack here to make the playoffs. You don't think that the Phillies, Braves, and Mets will make the playoffs?
I mean, it's good. That's good. I mean, what is it, minus 125? I love the value at plus 170 for all 3. I think 3 are going to make it. I don't even think it's going to be that close.
I think what you're doing here is it's some insurance against one of those teams just falling apart from 3-4 major injuries.
Yep.
Yeah. It's the only way that I can look at it.
I don't know. This surprised me. I really thought it would be closer, minus 110 maybe for 2 and 3. Like, I just don't see how but it shows how hard it is to do what they did last year and have 3 teams into the playoffs. But 4 is a no-go. Do not touch that at plus 6,000.
Agreed. Yeah, that's a definite no-go. But here's the thing, right? You try to do the math. You've got 6 teams making the playoffs. You're going to get one from the Central. You're going to get, probably the Dodgers, and you would think the Diamondbacks out west. But to me, I'm like, the East has 3 really strong ball clubs that feel like more of a sure thing this year to get in. But you never know. If there's a couple surprise teams in the Central, it could mess things up. But anyway, we'll be right back after we tell you about your cash back for second goal scorers. You can get more information if you look it up on the BetMGM app or at betmgm.com. Go sign up, get an account, use the code FOUL, by the way, to sign up, and you get yourself a nice little bonus that we talk about on bonus bets if your first bet loses. Be right back, FT fam. Let's slap. AJ, anything else we need to know from Astros camp?
Yeah, Kratz, you're going to love this story, by the way. So Mauricio Dubón just sat down. And I've said hello to him, talked to him before. He's awesome. He just goes, by the way, you gave me a bat once. And I was thinking, like, what, were you a kid? Like, when I was playing and I handed it to you broken? He goes, like, no, we were teammates with the Red Sox. You don't remember, but you handed me a bat after you had broke one off Koji, and you had another one, just gave it to me. And I was like, that's terrible. I didn't even know that we were teammates. So I apologize, Mauricio.
Wait, I need more context here.
That was the context. He said I was facing Koji Uehara in like live BP. I guess I broke a bat, and I had 2 bats, and I must have asked you before. And I was like, yeah, you can have this other bat. I don't care. I got a whole bunch of them in the back there. But yeah, I got no idea. Sorry. Apologize.
Do we know how long? AJ, do we know how long you guys were teammates? Like how many days?
I mean, it was spring training. It was spring training 2014. So, I mean, I don't know how long he was there. He's like, yeah, it was my first big league camp. So he couldn't have been there very long. But still, I mean, it was just funny because I know how Kratz is like, oh, you're a bad teammate. You don't know the guy's name. So, yeah, there you have it, Kratzy. It's not the first time this has happened, by the way.
That's why I'm shaking my head.
Kratz.
Sorry.
Is there any difference with spring training being that it's, 50-plus players, guys are getting cut? Yeah, there's some newbies there. Or is it still a big party foul on AJ?
Sure. If it's like, you're an outfielder and it's a pitcher that's in spring training and he's number 99, but if he's invited to spring training, like, I feel like you need to know this. I mean, this dude was next to you. You gave him a bat. It's not like he went into the rack and like took one out. Like, well, it's AJ Pierzynski. Bad. We can play that game. We can play that game sometime when we got a slow day. Do you remember your teammate? And we'll call it good teammate, bad teammate. AJ, do you remember Mauricio Dubón and you were in spring training together? Yes or no? True or false?
Clearly, apparently not. But I love that he just said that to me. It made me laugh because I was like, I'm sorry. He's like, no, I mean, you have to remember, catchers were on one end of the clubhouse and the outfielders and infielders on the other end. So, we didn't intermingle very often, but I apologize, but it's really funny. And I knew Kratz would love that because it would give him something like, see, that's all why you're not a grinder.
That's not at all why you're not a grinder, but that statement right there is why you're not a grinder.
Don't they play that game with Charles Barkley where they're testing him on who's in the NBA and he doesn't know a lot of the player names?
Yeah.
I don't know.
We used to play that game.
I don't know.
We used to play that game with Octavia. Nick Swisher one time called Octavia Dotel up to the front of the bus and said, name your teammates. And he went on the bus. And it was amazing how many he did not know the names of. Him and Juan Uribe, there wasn't a lot. He knew some nicknames, but there was like Burley was Bailey to Uribe. So he's like, Bailey. And we're like, that's kind of his name. And then, he would go around and there was 6 or 7 where he was like, I don't know. Both of them.
Nope.
I don't know.
Was it a laugh?
It's not just those guys.
No, it was funny. It was just fun. It was all fun and game. Nobody cared.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a big deal. it was just funny. They were like, Octavio, who is this? And he's like, I don't know, guy.
Yep.
That's so good. All right, I want to shout out Spencer Arrighetti. He definitely had the line of the day when he's trying to hold back the pitch that he's working on secretly and says, too many guys watch this show. And he's talking about other players. I'm like, yeah, sorry about it.
Big taste. Big taste. Nice.
Yeah, you got to take that one in stride. He was great, by the way. We hadn't had him on. Now we're getting to the point where it's 600 plus player guest spots in the past 2 years. It's not quite as bad as not knowing someone's name, but we do this somewhat often when we text in our own chat behind the scenes where we're like, have we spoken to this guy before? I can't remember. But he was great.
He was good. He was really good. The Astros said he'd be great, so I'm glad we got him on. I'm glad we got to. That's one of the great things, Kratz. You know, when you come to these camps, you get to meet the players, you get the players on, you get to see their personality a little bit, and you get them to open up, because when you're in person, it's easier than even through the system that we use here on camera. But to sit down with these guys, and you know, in every place except for Kratz's favorite place, Jupiter, you know, these guys have been very welcoming. They sit down, you get to talk to the players.
Mm-hmm. Even there, they didn't come and talk to, you know, FT on screen, but getting to talk to these guys and like seeing who these guys are in the clubhouse, what they're afraid of, you know, what they're like, you know, I'm not into that, or sure, I'm into that kind of thing. It's fun. It's a lot of fun for me. I don't really miss like being around the guys because I can text different guys that are still playing and stuff. So that is fun. But this show allows me to keep that connection and build connection with new guys. Like, who knew Spencer Arrighetti had that kind of personality? I didn't. Now we do.
Mm-hmm. There you go. Flex, by the way. I can just call current big leaguers and be like, what's up? It's Kratz.
It's getting a smaller list, so and they don't all.
If he can call them, then I'm waiting on two names to come on our show. One of them, his name is Aaron, and the other one's name is Bryce. Both ex-teammates, and both have not been on. Just saying.
One is an ex-teammate. The other one is not an ex-teammate.
Close enough. No, but, you know, they were in the same division, and Kratz is a Phillies fan. By the way, happy 49th birthday, Paul Konerko. Today, just, I don't know, it's random, but it's Paul Konerko's 49th birthday. I thought it was 50, so I got to make fun of him, but then he corrected me.
There's the calendar. Thank you to the Astros for helping us out. Got to speak to some other coaches, and I love getting Dana Brown on there, the GM. Phillies camp Thursday, which is tomorrow. Rays camp Friday.